Rain is an extremely important element in maintaining the lush look of your landscape. But the variability and inconsistency of when it falls has forced the need to supplement. This supplement to Mother Nature's rainfall is irrigation. When used correctly, irrigation can make your landscape look healthier while being sensitive to the environmental impact of using our Earth's essential resources. When used incorrectly, irrigation can waste water, generate weeds, and create runoff of fertilizers and chemicals. In the next video in our series, The 5 Most Common Landscape Mistakes, we cover the topic of improper watering and the ways you can make the best out of your watering practices in our Earth's resources. The first step is determining if irrigation is needed to supplement the rainfall. It's easy to make the mistake of overwatering the landscape by overcompensating for a lack of rainfall. But this can result in many problems, such as a shallow root system, an increase in diseases, pests, and insects, a reduction in a plant's drought tolerance, an increased need for fertilizer, and wasted water. To not overwater, it is helpful to understand Florida's rainfall and to properly schedule your irrigation around such rainfall. The average rainfall across Florida is 53 inches, with the national average being 30 inches per year. While Florida has more rain than most states, it does not fall evenly throughout the year. In fact, summer is the wettest time in Florida, with 70% of the annual rainfall occurring within this season. So, before turning on your irrigation, check the weather forecast. If rain is on the way, then it provides an opportunity to save water. Also, keep a rain gauge in your yard. It will provide you with an accurate reading of the rainfall. So, when and how much do you irrigate? It's evident that irrigation is needed within your landscape when leaves are wilted, the turf has a bluish-gray tint, and the turf retains footprints when walked on. It's also evident that your turf is being overwatered when dollarweed is present. But the water needs of the landscape can change depending on the area of the yard. For example, sidewalks and pavement act as a heat source and increase the need for water. On the other hand, plants and turf under trees in the shade may need less water. If your lawn is showing signs of a water deficiency, then irrigate your lawn with 3/4 of an inch of water, which is equivalent to about 30 minutes of running your irrigation. One way to know the time it takes for your sprinklers to deliver 3/4 of an inch of water is by putting small cans around your yard. Run the sprinklers for approximately 15 minutes and then measure the amount of water in the can. Continue to run the sprinklers until it reaches the 3/4 of an inch mark, making sure to note the time it takes. Now that you've determined how much irrigation is needed to supplement the rain, the best time to irrigate is in the early morning hours. It helps reduce water loss through evaporation, since temperatures and wind speeds are lower at this time of day. Also, as the weather conditions change throughout the year, the irrigation times need to be adjusted to accommodate such changes. For example, more water is needed during the summer, and less water is needed during the winter, since most turf and plants are dormant at that time. Check your user guide to properly adjust your irrigation system timer. It is recommended to water 2 to 3 times a week in the summer and once a week in the winter. But make sure to check out your Water Management District's watering guidelines when programming your timer. Also, keep in mind your soil types. Water may penetrate sandy soils faster, creating a stronger demand for increased watering frequencies. But clay and loam soil types hold water longer, removing the need to water as often. Did you know lawn irrigation accounts for nearly half of homeowners' water usage? So, it's very important to determine ways to conserve this precious resource. One way is to use a rain sensor with your irrigation system. This will stop the irrigation from running if it recently rained an adequate amount. Also, separate your irrigation zones with plants being on a different zone than turf. When installing plants, group those with similar water needs together and set the watering time appropriately for those plant types. Check your sprinklers regularly to make sure they are working properly and are adjusted to provide water to the correct areas. For example, make sure you are not irrigating the street or sidewalk. Also, check for dry spots throughout your lawn and adjust the sprinkler to cover that area. Use mulch within your plant beds to hold in the moisture. Finally, use drip irrigation within your plant beds, which supplies a small amount of water to the base of plants, reducing evaporation and increasing efficiency. So, we've discussed understanding Mother Nature and Florida rainfall, when and how much to irrigate, and conservation efforts. By properly irrigating your landscape, you'll have a healthy, thriving lawn while conserving our precious natural resources of water. Stay tuned for our next in the series of the 5 most common landscape mistakes.